The courthouse lobby smelled faintly of polish and old paper. A place designed to feel permanent marble floors, brass rails, portraits of retired judges lining the walls like reminders that the system, not the people inside it, was meant to endure. Caleb Ward stood beneath those portraits like he belonged among them. He wore a charcoal suit tailored to suggest humility without actually practicing it. His smile was small, precise, and always calculated to land exactly where it needed to. He greeted clerks by name, judges by title, bailiffs with nods that felt like favors. He had built his career, not on brilliance, but on certainty. Certainty that rules bent for people who understood how to apply pressure quietly. Certainty that contracts were weapons, not agreements. Certainty that power, once accumulated, became self-sustaining. And today, power was on his side. Across the room, Mara Ellison stood alone near a row of wooden benches, her hands folded around a thin cardboard folder. It was soft at the corners, warped slightly from humidity. The kind of folder you get free at the records office if you ask politely and wait long enough. Inside it were copies of emails, a few invoices, 2 contracts printed from a company portal she no longer had access to. She had triple-checked everything. It still felt like nothing. Mara wasn't dressed poorly. She was dressed plainly. Gray slacks, flat shoes, a blouse without branding or ornament. Her hair was tied back in a way that suggested she didn't want it in her face. Not that she wanted to look professional. People mistook that for weakness. Caleb noticed her when he entered the lobby. He always noticed the opposition. It was a habit formed early. Back when he still pretended to be surprised by outcomes. He scanned her posture, the folder, the empty bench around her. Alone. He smiled. "Miss Ellison," he said, approaching like a man greeting a neighbor, not someone he was in the process of financially destroying. "You came early. Se looked up." Yes, that was all. He studied her face for something. Fear, anger, desperation. He found none of it. Just a calm that felt, to him, like ignorance. He gestured lightly at the folder. "That everything?" "Yes."
He nodded, as if she'd answered incorrectly, but he didn't intend to correct her.
"Well," he said, "we'll be done quickly." Then he turned and walked away. Mara watched him go, then looked back down at her folder. Her fingers rested on its edge, feeling the crease where it had bent the first time she'd opened it too fast. She hadn't slept much the night before. Not because she was anxious about court, but because she kept replaying the same memory. Tay. Meeting 2 years ago. Sheedy sat in a glass-walled conference room on the 22nd floor of Ward Development S. Downtown tower. The skyline had been behind Caleb's shoulder, sunlight cutting across the table like a blade. He'd been friendly then, too. He'd called her impressive. Said her market analysis had been refreshing. Complimented her ability to see inefficiencies others ignored. She'd been 29, recently promoted, and still naive enough to believe that praise in corporate settings meant something. "You should lead this project," he'd said. It was a redevelopment contract. 3 city blocks of abandoned industrial properties slated for residential conversion. Her team had found the site, mapped the zoning complications, identified the environmental mitigation issues. She'd worked on it for 6 months before Caleb had even noticed its existence. He offered her a performance-based partnership agreement. Profit participation tied to completion benchmarks. A chance, he said, to build equity without waiting 10 years. She'd read the contract carefully. She thought she had 2 weeks after the project broke ground. Her access to internal systems was revoked. 2 days later, HR called her into a conference room and slid across a termination letter citing organizational restructuring. She'd laughed at first, out of shock. Then she'd asked about her contract. HR told her legal would follow up. Liga! Never did.
Imagine pouring your heart and soul into your life's work, only to have it stolen by the one person you trusted most. This is the shocking, true story of a brilliant creator and the devastating betrayal that almost cost her everything. Let's call her Clara. Clara was a passionate game developer, spending years crafting a unique, immersive world for her dream video game. Her partner, let's call him Alex, was also in the industry. He was her biggest supporter, or so she thought. They brainstormed together. He cheered her on through late nights of coding, and he knew every secret of her game's design. The project was her baby, a culmination of her talent and tireless effort. One day, Clara started seeing ads online for a new, highly anticipated game. The art style looked familiar. The game mechanics seemed uncannily similar to hers. As she dug deeper, her blood ran cold. The lead designer of this new blockbuster, it was Alex. He had quit his job months ago, telling her he was taking a break. In reality, he had taken her entire concept, her code, her designs, and pitched them as his own to a major studio. Heartbroken and enraged, Clara knew she couldn't let this happen. This wasn't just a breakup. It was the theft of her identity, her future, but proving it would be an uphill battle. Alex had been clever. He had subtly altered some elements and claimed the core ideas were his all along. The legal fight began, and it was brutal. Clara's legal team had to meticulously piece together evidence. They combed through years of her digital footprint, old emails to friends describing her game concepts, time-stamped files on her personal hard drives, and even social media posts where she had shared early sketches. Every bit of data became a weapon in her fight for justice. She had to prove that her ideas existed long before Alex's supposed stroke of genius. Meanwhile, the gaming community was divided. Alex, backed by a powerful studio's PR machine, painted himself as a visionary. He went on podcasts and interviews talking about his creative process. Online forums were filled with debates. Some called Clara a bitter ex-girlfriend trying to cash in, while others saw the clear signs of plagiarism and rallied behind her. The stress was immense. Clara was not only fighting for her career, but also enduring a public character assassination. The turning point came from an unexpected source. A former colleague of Alex's from the new studio came forward. This whistleblower had seen early pitch documents Alex presented, and later accidentally stumbled upon Alex's old shared cloud drive with Clara. The drive contained her original time-stamped files, which were nearly identical to the game they were now developing. It was the smoking gun. Armed with this undeniable evidence, Clara's case grew stronger. The studio, facing a massive scandal and undeniable proof of intellectual property theft, was forced to settle. The terms were confidential, but the outcome was a clear victory for Clara. The game's release was halted, and she received substantial compensation and, most importantly, the public acknowledgement that she was the original creator. Clara's story is a powerful reminder to all creators. Protect your work, document everything. Timestamp your files, register your copyrights, and be cautious about who you share your brilliant ideas with. Betrayal can come from where you least expect it, but justice can prevail. Her fight wasn't just for herself. It was a victory for every independent creator who has ever feared their work being stolen. Thank you so much for watching. If you found this story as compelling as I did, please hit that like button and subscribe for more content. Let me know in the comments what you think about this case. See you next time.